In today's student interview with Dan, the marketing man, I'm gonna be sharing with you exactly how he was able to go from almost getting evicted from his home, which is $20 left in his pocket, to now have generating over $1 million with his social media marketing agency. Dan has a really crazy story of how he started from the bottom to now running a full-on 7-figure agency. And so in today's interview, I connected with him all the way in Colombia to find out what he did exactly to scale his agency from zero, from almost getting evicted to 7 figures. So we're gonna learn about his outbound systems, how he has been able to get clients, retain his clients, and all the obstacles and struggles that he had to go through as an agency owner to get to where he is today. Dan is a former student of mine. He had reached out to me back in, I think, 2020 to start up his agency. It is now 2023, and I'm gonna let his results speak for itself. All right, guys, I am here with Dan the man. It's been a while, brother. We are out here in Colombia today. And so Dan, little backstory, Dan was actually one of the first people that reached out to me when I first started my agency. And you know, I was able to help him out. So I'm gonna let him share his story with you guys and see how he was able to grow his agency. So for those of you that's watching the video right now, I'm sure you guys are gonna learn get a ton of value from this on how Dan was able to grow his marketing agency. And yeah, let's get started, bro. So I mean, when did we first? I know we interviewed 2 times in the before, but since then I know you've grown a lot. But let's take the new viewers back to where we first started.
Yeah, so let's take it way back. We started actually in August of 2020. So I met Jordan because I knew that he worked with attorneys on Google. And at the time, that was technically my first ever SMMA client. It was an attorney in Vegas. That's where I'm from. And I actually got him through a referral. So it wasn't any type of SMMA sales at all. I actually just got him through a referral. I didn't know how to run ads, but I knew that he wanted to do business with me. And so that's when I reached out to Jordan. And that's kind of how we first started working together. I just kind of referred him a client, and we started from there. So that was back in August of 2020. Right now it's November 2023.
Bro, it's crazy. It's 3 years later, and
literally.
we're finally meeting each other in person for the first time in a different country, in Colombia, man.
Yeah, and it's actually been like 3 months that I've officially crossed $1 million in rev.
Dude, congrats, man.
So officially did that in
When
3
you first
years.
started your agency, though, like, what background experience in marketing, digital marketing, did you have going into the agency? Did you have anything? What skill did you bring into the agency?
Zero. I had absolutely no experience with SMMA. I had a little bit of sales experience doing door-to-door, but I didn't know what I was doing for marketing. I didn't know anything about advertising. I just knew how to sell stuff, and that's kind of how I got into it. So I had no experience, and Jordan really helped me, like in the beginning, like I said.
What was it specifically that I helped you with, where you're like, oh, dude, that just clicked, and that's really got my business going?
Yeah, so I was doing outreach in the beginning. Like I said, I had a little bit of a sales experience. I had the determination to actually do it, but the thing that you really helped me with was the VSL, like having a little bit of a sales process before. So one of the biggest things that really opened my eyes to, SMMA or like inbound leads was content. Like, we started doing this in 2020, but it's a new age of selling. Like, it's not really about cold calling, being excited. It's about content. People consume content, they get to know about you, and then at that point they're ready to close. So Jordan really helped me implement like systems for content, which was his VSL, right? The video sales letter that he helped me implement.
So in the beginning, obviously, like most agency owners, they're like, dude, Jordan, Dan, how do I get my first client? How do I get the ball rolling? Can you kind of share with the viewers a little bit what you struggled with early on in your agency to get your clients, so that way maybe they can kind of relate to your struggles before you share like what finally works?
Yeah, so great question. My biggest problem in the beginning was retention.
Okay.
Like, I would go from 0 to 20, 0 to $30,000 a month in the beginning and go straight back to 0. I didn't know how to retain clients, mainly because I didn't know how to run ads. So that was the biggest thing. I had to rely on my white labels a lot, and I always felt that was the problem. I was like, wait, that white label sucks, let me try this one. No, that one sucks, let me try this one. But it was really 2 things. It was not knowing how to find good people because I didn't know how to run ads.
Okay.
But then also, I didn't have the systems to set expectations beforehand. So now my onboarding is much better. We're setting great expectations, and we're doing well. So barely 10 months ago, I learned how to run ads, and I've been doing fulfillment
You
ever
just
since
started
then.
running ads, learned how to run ads 10 months ago.
Literally.
And it's been 3 years since you were running your agency.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, you were able to get clients, but you're saying that you couldn't retain them, and you were jumping through different white labeling companies. Is it because the white labeling company wasn't good? Like, can we talk about how to find a good white labeling company?
Yeah, so that I guess that was the misconception. So even though I was like hopping from white label to white label, that was never the problem.
Okay.
The biggest problem was also like teaching them how to have a good sales process, but also setting good expectations.
Them
like,
as in the clients.
as in the clients.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't necessarily the white label's fault. If anything, I took responsibility for it and setting good expectations, but also knowing the back end, like how to run ads. Now I know how to run ads, and that's why I'm retaining clients for 6, 12 months now.
And I think that's really important with the agency stuff that not a lot of people focus on. A lot of people focus on signing new clients, getting new clients. But what I like to talk about is how can we retain clients? Because essentially that's how your agency is going to grow long term, is if we're able to retain clients. And from there, those clients are going to send you referrals. It's going to go, your agency is going to go a lot more distance. And that's why, and that way you don't have to feel like, oh, I sign a new client, you lose the client, and then I got to constantly chase new clients, right? So it's great that you got the retention down. And then you talked about like expectations. What difference in the expectations did you set for your clients that help with the retention? Like what was the before and after as far as expectations that were being set?
Yeah, so the expectations that I set isn't even actually done in outreach. It's not even done in the sales call. It's done in the onboarding process. So it takes 3 days for us to set up a campaign normally with high-level automation.
And that's pretty quick, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then by the 3rd day, or even after, whenever they're available, we do the kickoff call. So on the kickoff call, I have a presentation, and I show them why they suck.
Right.
But it's more than that. Because maybe you guys have seen this too, but if you ever get on a sales call with a client, they're like, oh, I can close 8 out of 10 leads. You get me 10 qualified leads, I'll close all 10 of them.
I get a lot that too, but they don't understand that it's internet leads. It's paid ad leads, right?
Right. So of course you're going to close 8 out of 10 referrals. And so when they told me that in the beginning, I was like, great, we're going to kill it. And we ended up not killing it due to the fact that they had never learned how to take a 5 out of 10 lead to a 10. They're so used to getting 10 out of 10 leads.
Right.
And not actually running ads and 5 out of 10 leads, warming them up, having a sales process and closing deals that way.
So how can we do better retention as far as like increasing that lead, right? So you're saying that most of these leads are 10 out of 10 what they're used to. So how do we help them close those 5 out of 10 leads, or how do we get those leads to be, higher close rate for our clients?
So one of the biggest things I've helped my clients with their sales process is, first of all, the expectations, sure, but I also do a lot of the heavy lifting for them on the front end. So we generate the lead, we qualify them through a survey, we book the appointment. And that's where most people think that's it. They're just like, okay, I'm done. But that's not even it, because again, these leads are a 5 out of 10. So something that I help my clients implement is by telling them, hey, all you have to do is call the booked appointments. Don't call the crap leads. Don't call any other lead other than the booked appointment.
Because those are warmer, right? If they booked appointment, those leads are usually better.
Right. So they have to call within 24 hours or more before the call. And the reason why is because they're at a 5 out of 10, right? They're not ready to buy yet. So what I do is I give my clients a script and I say, hey, call them 24 hours before. Hey, what's up? It's Dan. I was the guy you scheduled the call with on Wednesday. How are you?
The script. You give your client script and the resources needed.
Right. So scripts. I tell them what to say, and then a lot of them don't even take payments on the call. They're like, "Yeah, I closed the deal today." I'm like, "Great. How much money was it?" "Oh, they're gonna pay on Friday."
Right.
That's not a deal.
And that's the issue with a lot of these business owners, guys, is that they know how to run their business, but they don't really know how to grow their business, right? They don't know anything about the marketing stuff. So like Dan does that a lot for his clients. And you handle like a lot, like as much as possible for everything, and he makes it as easy as possible for the clients. Like you can't fail. Just follow the script, right? And even then, sometimes the clients just can't do it. So try to do as much as possible for your clients, because a lot of them might not be as, I guess, business savvy or whatever. But as marketers, we need to guide the clients in order, because at the end of the day, it comes back on you. If the client isn't getting results, it's going to be on you. No matter how much you put in and do it for them, if they can't grow from their business, it's going to go back on you. So Dan, can you kind of like share about where in your agency did you feel like stuck at the most, like revenue wise, where you're like, dude, like I just can't get to that 10K mark, or I can't get past that 10K mark. Like where did you feel most stuck with in your agency? At what point?
So Probably like a year and a half in, because I was doing mortgage for the first year and I went heavy. We did like 250 clients in the first 12 months,
Wow,
which is amazing
that is a lot of
if you
clients.
could retain them.
Right.
And that was my biggest problem. So after that, I was really stuck. My biggest month at the time was $48,000,
Wow.
but that was starting from zero. Because again, I
Yep.
couldn't retain, so 0 to 48 in a month, and that was like my biggest plateau is retention.
So you had no problems getting clients. It was just the fulfillment, the retention, making sure your clients stay on. That was like literally the only thing.
Yeah, and we barely fixed that again, like this third year coming in, because I learned how to run ads, which I should have learned how to do way back then.
Right. And I mean, a lot of like the viewers here, I mean, they would be happy, like, wow, $48,000 months. Like, I would take that and then, go year round and then learn the fulfillment later on, whatever. But there's no like wrong way to go about it. You can learn how to run ads first and learn the retention, how to do retention first, which is what more I focused on. But then I wasn't so good with the getting new clients. See, with Dan, he might have not been good with getting results, but at least he had white label companies that could help him out with that, and he just figured out the signing new clients. So can you kind of share with, I mean, you're really good at getting new clients. What really worked for you to getting new clients for your agency?
So again, I had a lot of sales experience, but B2B is way different than B2C. So at the time, I was doing door to door, and you have to be super excited and everything's amazing.
Right.
But if you bring that type of energy to a B2B environment, they get thrown off because we're dealing with business owners. They see through all the sales stuff. So I feel like the more genuine you are with somebody, the more you're able to just make a friend, the more they're willing to trust you. So I would try to just get rid of all the sales tactics and just genuinely try to solve a problem for somebody. So that was number one. But number two, the VSL was the biggest. I would say even number one is probably the biggest thing that really helped me. Just setting yourself up for the call, where you're going to have authority. They know, like, and trust you before they even get on the call.
Right. And I really agree with Dan on that first point where you mentioned, just take when you're talking to clients or prospects, really just shifting your mindset from selling the client to how can I genuinely help this client. And when you shift your mindset that way, you're now going to ask more important questions to see how you can really help them, instead of like, oh, I just want to run Facebook ads for this guy and have him as a client. So I think a lot of like questions that I get is like outreach methods, right? What is the most effective outreach method? I know it's a broad question, but like, what is your take on what is the best outreach method? What is the best way to go about that to get clients through the door?
Yeah, so it does depend on the niche. However, the four main ones that I teach in Boss is cold calling, SMS, email, and voicemail. And all four of those can be automated, meaning that you don't actively have to be sitting there doing outreach. You can automate that stuff with, well, first of all, automations, but also like a $3 an hour VA. You can get one VA with four methods of outreach, scheduling like 4 to 6 calls a day easily. So those are the main methods that I use, but obviously it's different for everybody. My first 9 months of agency, I had cold calls, social media. We did $150,000 in 9 months. My first 9 months of agency,
Wow.
Only those two methods.
That is incredible. So you did $150,000 in your first 9 months, just cold calling and
Social media.
and that's all. How many cold calls were you making?
So I was doing, well, when I was doing it just by myself without the VA, I had a goal of 333 dials a day.
How long did that take you?
2 hours.
That's it?
Because these are dials. I'm skipping gatekeepers. I'm skipping, like bad leads. But
Right.
333 dials every day, I would get 2 deals at 2,500 consistently every week.
Wow. So what do you think? So you said you have the SMS, the cold call, the social media, and I think there's one more.
Email and voicemail.
Email and voicemail. And then you said that all those things can be automated to get you new clients. So when you first started, you only needed 2, and that helped you get to that 6-figure mark.
Right.
So for new agency owners out there, like, what do you recommend them doing, and why do you think they are not getting to where they want to be? So for example, a lot of agency owners want to hit 10K per month. Why do you think they're not getting there with these outreach methods?
Yeah. So in my boss program, I actually set up all 4 of these methods for everybody within day 1 and day 2. Even with that, they still don't do it. And
Okay.
all you have to do is really just feed your automations the leads, and then inbound leads will come in. You qualify and get rid of the uninterested ones. Why don't they do it? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
And sometimes they're just not ready to become a business owner. Maybe they have life, maybe they have work. And what I tend is to hear is just excuses, man. It's really just comes down to excuses, because if you just take massive action, whatever it is that's going through your life, or I don't know, everyone goes through something. But I think if you just take massive action, especially if you have a mentor such as Dan or myself helping you and setting up the systems for you, and literally saying this is all you need to do to get to a 10K per month mark, and there's still students that don't do it. And would you say that hitting 10K per month is fairly easy, or not easy, but like fairly simple?
Yeah, and I want to talk to that too. So to that point in 2020 when I did my interview with you,
Yeah.
the first thing I said, one of the first things I said was, I didn't realize how easy it is.
Right.
I was actually shocked how easy it is, because when you're not hitting 10K, you're like, oh my God, like
10K is the life.
what would it be like?
Right.
And
right.
then you hit it and you're like, wow, that was a lot easier than I thought, at least for me. So like Jordan said, right? I was actually freelancing before. So if you go to my channel, like all the oldest videos are on freelancing.
Yeah.
And my Fiverr account got shut down when I was doing like 6K net.
Yeah.
Shut down. I had to pick up the phone. I was almost going to get evicted like, a month later. So I picked up the phone, started doing outreach. 2 days later, I closed my first deal for $2,500. No Zoom.
Just gotta pick up the phone, man.
No sales assets, nothing.
Pick up the phone.
Just action.
Just start talking to people. Just pick up the phone. Even if you have no experience, even if you're scared out of your mind like I was hanging up on myself during these calls, bro. Like I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know how to explain things. And then whenever a prospect asked me something I didn't know, and I didn't know the answer to it, I would hang up on myself. But eventually I got better from that. So I wanted to touch on the point where the easy 10K per month, right? I like to use the term simple, because easy is not like for everybody, right? Because everyone goes through something. Maybe it's not easy, their mindset, something going on in their life. The process isn't easy, but the process is simple, because we already know what you need to do. Like if you just do what you need to do, it's very simple.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, and it's not easy. And the reason why people don't do it is because it's not easy, because they're stuck in their own mindset and they're just not taking action, right? So now that you've gone from wherever your agency was at, when we last talked, I think you were doing your 30K month, to scaling it now. How did you scale your agency from you were having trouble with retention, getting highs and lows? How do you now like structure your agency to get from where it was, where you were struggling, to now where it is now, to where it's like a little bit more consistent and where you're more satisfied with it?
Yeah, so I actually just restarted my agency a month ago for a YouTube challenge, and you guys are going to see that. But I did a credit repair offer. So like my niche is credit repair.
Okay.
It's very simple to get results, but it's hard after that. Meaning we can get leads very easily, but most credit repair business owners don't know how to close. They don't have a single sales process. So a lot of it is actually consulting. So I'm actually changing the way that I'm doing it before, which was all done for you, to now done with you, where it's like, sure, we're going to set up high level, we're going to set up the ads, but I'm also going to coach you and help you with the sales process. Because if you can help them make more money with the sales process, if you're good at that, which I always have been, that's how you're going to scale. That's how you're going to have like 5 whale clients doing 100K a month. So that's kind of where I see it going now. I just want to have like a couple clients doing a lot of volume.
Less clients, but higher quality. And I actually like that too. It's actually easier to work with clients who have more skin in the game, who are more willing to spend money on ads, and they're more serious about it, compared to like the new business owners who are like, oh, can we start with like a $500 or something like that? Like those guys aren't as serious. And I mean, I've had those clients, and we've had great retention rates with those guys too. But it's definitely a lot tougher to compare to. Like I enjoy working with my clients who are, for example, spending $100,000 a month. Like he is serious about it, and he's always like, Jordan, how do we grow? How do we do more? And even though we might have bad months, because he has more skin in the game, he understands how marketing works. He understands how not every single month is going to be a home run. We're going to have some good months and we have some bad months. So how do you, for the agency owners out there, like what would your advice be on picking niches? Because I know that, you've played around with some niches. Like how do you find a good niche for you?
That's a great question. So some of the things that I look at to get a good niche is how easy is it to do outreach? For example, my first ever niche was mortgage. A lot of realtors, a lot of loan officers put their cell phone numbers online. So if I'm cold calling, I'm getting to the decision maker.
Okay.
So how easy is it to do outreach? How much money do they make per deal? In other words, how profitable can you be with them?
Right. So what's an example of like a niche where like, I probably, because they make less money and I wouldn't want to work with that niche. Do you have like one in mind?
Hmm. What's a niche that doesn't make a lot of money that
Like, yeah, that you wouldn't like, hey, I would not want to get into that.
see? Because credit repair is a little bit lower ticket,
Right, right, right.
but I'm doing it now because the fulfillment's so easy to do.
Okay.
But how would I pick that?
I'll give an example. Like I had one on the top of my head because when I first started my agency, I was like, you know what, who should I do digital marketing for? Who should I generate leads for? And then the first thing that popped in my mind was a pet grooming business because everyone loves pets, right? Wash dogs, and you can throw nice, funny ads of dogs getting pet bathed or whatever. And so I started outreaching to all these pet grooming businesses, and none of them moved forward. And I was wondering, like, why? Why are they not interested in something like this? And it's because they're more like low ticket. Because I was reaching out to like local mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to, I was like, all right, I got to move on. Let's think of something a little bit more money, like someone that makes more money. All right, next thing, chiropractors, right? So that was the next thing I went into, and then that ended up, helping me get my first client. So
It was chiropractic?
a chiropractor was my very first client.
Damn, okay.
And it's an interesting story. So I was struggling to get my first client for the longest time. I remember going to the gym. There was a booth set up, and it was a chiropractic booth. And I was like, all right, you know what? It looks like they're doing marketing, so they might be interested in doing marketing. So I took down the business name, whatever, and I went home later that day. And mind you, like prior to this, I was making cold calls like every day, getting shut down, hanging up on myself, couldn't get past the gatekeeper. I called this business up, this chiropractic clinic up, and I was making a phone call like this because I was like, all right, this guy's probably gonna say no, and the doctor picks up. I was like, oh, I did not think the doctor was gonna pick up. Long story short, got him on a free trial. That free trial led to a my very first client ever. Got the check, took a picture of it. I still have that picture to this day, so pretty cool. But can you share a little bit like what? So we talked about the what did we talk about?
How to pick a niche.
How to pick a niche. Okay, so how to pick a niche.
And then bad niches.
Bad niches. So how did you come to your credit repair?
Yeah, so the way I came to credit repair was by actually a friend of mine. He has a credit repair business and he's doing very well. One of my other mentors, Jason Wojo, also says a lot of really good things about credit repair. Any financial service, those are my favorite types of niches to go for. So like business funding, credit repair, life insurance, like any type of financial services, I love to do because typically there's not a lot of competitors, so it's very easy to get results as far as leads. But their problem, again, is the sales process, which I'm very good at.
Yep.
So that's why, again, I'm kind of converting to like a done with you consulting.
Okay.
Like a done with you type of agency. So for me, my strengths and also suggestions from my mentors kind of led me to credit repair.
So I think two key takeaways I got from what you just said right now is number one, you had a friend that was in credit repair. So what I like to tell like new agency owners or whatever, whoever's trying to get their first clients is reach out to your friends and family, right? See who you have a connect to, and that way you can just get the ball rolling, right? Get a connect, get your foot in the door, even if it's like a free trial, but reach out to your friends and family, right? And get the ball rolling that way. The second takeaway, just seeing what niches already work, right? So for example, your mentor was already in the credit repair niche and he was crushing it for that niche, right? So that's why
Wojo does all niches. If you guys know Wojo, he has like a full 360.
he does like
everything,
everything. But one of them was credit repair.
He said really good things about financial services, specifically credit repair.
Right. So just see what other agency owners are doing that's already working. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to come up with a crazy niche that no one's ever thought of. Just see what's working, right? So that way you can just get the ball rolling. I think the key point is to just get the ball rolling and figure it out as you go.
100%. I agree. My first ever offer in niche, my mentor Ross Christofoli quit that niche and that offer, and he basically passed the baton. He's like, "Yo, this is what's working for me. Good luck."
Exactly.
And yeah, we did $500,000 in mortgage.
Wow. Yeah, I remember we would discuss and have conversation about that. I remember you telling me about that. Okay, so I want to talk about into sales now. No, before we get to that, I want to talk about offers, right? what makes a good offer for like clients? How do we make our offer sexy for our clients to be interested in what we have to offer?
Great question. So biggest misconception with the offer is people think they always need to like have a crazy price, a crazy guarantee. That's how you make it. No, that's not how you make a good offer. A good offer is made with a unique selling point. So maybe you've heard this before, but like people don't want to buy the same thing. So for example, maybe in 2012, Facebook ads was like, whoa, Facebook ads.
Yeah, you can sell Facebook ads to anybody. You say
Whoa.
Facebook ads and they are interested.
So that's what it was, right? In 2012, Facebook ads was the best offer. And then like maybe 3-4 years ago, it was TikTok ads. But what do you do if there's no trends going on? How do you come up with a creative angle to stand out from everybody? So a good analogy I always like to use is like the circus. So if you go back in the day, there was like a traveling circus that would travel all across the United States. And after a while, like 2 or 3 years, they kept going to the same cities and their ticket prices started dropping, because nobody would buy the tickets anymore. But was the problem that they didn't want to see the circus? Or was the problem that they didn't want to see the same show? So after basically, they quit, the circus shut down. Another circus came in called Cirque du Soleil. And they just basically did a whole new like ballet type of circus. So it's still a circus. The audience still wants to see the circus, but they don't want to see the same show. So how do we apply that to SMMA? So if I cold call a bunch of realtors and I'm like, hey, let me run your Facebook ads, everybody's going to hang up on me.
Yep.
So what I started noticing though is when I started cold calling everybody, they're like, no, I don't buy leads. I only do referrals. So I was like, interesting. So they love referrals. So then I started changing the verbiage. So I was like, hey, I was wondering if you could take my referrals. And immediately they were like, oh my God, I would love to take your referrals. When can I take your referrals?
Yes.
And so at the same time, you don't want to lie. So, we're running ads, but we're not going to hide the fact that we're running ads. So I would use this unique selling point as a way to get through the door and just send an email. So they'd be like, yes, let's work together. And I'd be like, wait, let me just send you an email so I can explain more. That's the VSL that Jordan told me to make. That's what I'm sending them. So I'm sending them a VSL and I tell them, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Mortgage Referral Network. Let me explain. I'm an agency. I used to run Facebook ads and it sucked. But now what we do is we still run Facebook ads, but we run them to our referral network.
Yes.
And I explained that my referral network is actually a high-level funnel with automations. And using that funnel, we get a higher quality lead. And then we also book that lead with the automation. So now I'm just using a unique angle to get them to the door. So if you called 100 people and said you run Facebook ads, and I called the same 100 people and told them I have a referral network or like an AI tool or any other unique selling point, they're really infinite. I'm going to have a way better response because I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for time commitments. I'm just saying, hey, I have this unique offer. Do you want to see some more info? So I'm going to get my foot in the door with way more people than I normally would.
So it's not so much about what's trending. Yes, you can do the new platforms, but if there's, like Dan was saying, if there's no new platforms, you need to just create a unique offer, right? And it doesn't have to be something crazy. It's just something, a unique angle, something different about you, right? You're no longer just a Facebook ads guy. You now have this proprietary system or the way you do something new, right? You could just make it up in a way, right? So for me, like I was selling Google ads to these lawyers when I first started out. No, we don't want to do Google ads. No, we don't want to do Google ads. We've done Google ads like a million times in SEO. But when I started saying we have this unique call tracking system and we have this unique landing page, then the lawyers like, and this was like, a couple years ago. Now everyone is a little bit more caught on to like what a landing page is. But back then they're like, landing page? I've never heard of that. Like, what is that, And I would explain to them, yeah, so a lot of business owners, they'll send their traffic or paid, leads to their website. But what we do is we send the traffic to a landing page where you get a higher conversion rate and all these leads are exclusive for your business. And not only that, we have a unique call tracking system in place where you're able to track all the calls that come in so you know exactly where the leads come from. And then we use all that data and we push it back into the algorithms, and your campaign essentially gets smarter over time, and your campaign improves, and you get better lead quality, you get better, increase in lead volume, and like that right there was different. Now it's just not Google ads. Now it's like, yo, we have this like unique call tracking system. We have this unique landing page where it differentiates not only the client, but us as an agency from other marketing agencies and other people who are also running ads in that niche.
100%.
So-
And I always like to name that thing. So like once you have an angle, name it.
Have a name to it, whatever your system is. Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
Yeah, because that way you're definitely going to stand out. But the unique selling point does two things. Sure, you stand out. Sure. But the second thing that it does is it controls the quality of your service when you're doing outreach. So for example, if Jordan says, oh, I run Google Ads, maybe an attorney who's done that before will say, Google Ads suck, I hate you.
Yep.
But if you say, hey, I have this unique selling point, what are they going to say? It sucks, they've never heard of it.
They've never heard of
So it controls the quality of your service, but you also stand out.
Right, right. So how have you been able to ultimately scale your business from where it's at to like now? Is it more outreach, or is it just strictly retention rates? What do you think got you to passing that $1 million in revenue?
100% customer experience and fulfillment.
Experience, huh?
Customer experience and
Right.
fulfillment, those are the two things that help me with retention.
Yeah.
So that was the answer, and that's what really was holding me back the whole time. So those were my biggest struggles, and luckily now I've kind of gotten over that.
What is like your sales process? Because you've talked about your sales process where it's solid now. Is it sales process for you as an agency owner, or is it a sales process for you helping your clients? Which
Yeah, so well, my sales process has always been good. I've never had an issue with client acquisition. My issue was always, fulfillment and also the customer experience. So maybe you get maybe you get a client a ton of leads, and they're like, this sucks, refund me.
right,
But that's two things. Number one, it's expectations. And number two, it's educating them. Because I just had a client recently tell me, Dan, every single appointment that I call, they're super lost. And I was like, lost? Like, what do you mean they're lost? And he's like, they don't know what I do and they're not ready to buy.
right.
And I was like, well, how do you normally do it? And he's like, well, right now we do a lot of social media. So, when they call me on the phone, they already know who I am. They already know what I do. They're ready to buy. And I was like, okay, so that's the problem. So you're used to referrals, but you're not used to leads. Referrals are like 10 out of 10 ready to buy. Leads are like 5 out of 10. You got to call them 24 hours before. Like we talked about, hey, I'm going to be the one that that you're talking to on the meeting. By the way, what did you want help with on the meeting, right? So my clients do credit repair. So, hey, was there anything specifically that you wanted help with, like when we talk, or like what topics or questions did you have? Oh, I had 3 missed payments. I'm going through a bankruptcy. Now they're almost selling themselves of why they need to show up. So you're familiarizing yourself, you're humanizing yourself as a salesperson. Now they trust you to show up. They feel comfortable.
you're gathering that intel.
And you're also hitting on the pain point, why they need to show up. So I'm helping them with their sales process as well.
Okay, so we'll wrap things up with these 2 last points I really want to get from you, Dan. So to scale from 0 to 10K, what should they do? And then if you're trying to scale, let's say another agency owner is trying to scale from 10 to 20 to 30K plus, what should they do? So what would be your advice to those people who are in the 0 to 10K bucket?
So if you're at 0 and you want to get to 10K, take stupid action. And I don't mean like stupid as in like a lot. I mean stupid as in like be dumb and like allow yourself to make mistakes, because a lot of people are like, I'm not ready for the cold call.
Right.
Perfect. You're never going to be ready until you actually do
I
it.
agree.
So make the mistake, allow yourself to look dumb, and then the sales call too. Get on the sales call with the intention that you're not going to close it, with the intention that, hey, I'm going to suck, I'm not going to close it.
Yep.
I'm not even going to think about the other person on the other side of the Zoom. I'm just going to do my best and worry about me. So,
Right.
Record all your calls, listen to them, cringe, and then get better.
Get
But
better.
you got to allow yourself to make a mistake.
Everyone starts, in the same position as you, including myself, including Dan. And how would you go about how should they pick their outreach method? What outreach method do you recommend, or what is your advice on picking an outreach method? You all of them, or what do you think?
Yeah, so again, it does depend on the niche, but
Okay, yep.
but
That's true.
typically you would want to test everything if you're not sure. So if you're not sure,
Perfect.
SMS, cold calls, voicemail, and email are going to be the cheapest ways to do it
Right.
before you run ads. And then once you're closing cold leads and then you turn on ads, you're going to get to 50K in no time.
Yep. So I agree with that. I'd say, first, number one is figure out where your ideal clients are hanging out, and then just pick one outreach method because they all work. And then just improve it over time. You're going to figure it out as you go. And if you just stay consistent with that, that'll get you from 0 to 10K. Now, for the people in the other bucket, right, maybe they're doing 10, 15K a month or whatever, and maybe it's not consistent, and they want to scale it to maybe 30, 50, or whatever above, what is your advice to those guys?
Systems and customer experience.
Perfect.
So for me, like systems, anytime somebody signs up, like the trigger is literally if they pay an invoice. So as soon as the invoice is paid, they're immediately sent a text and an email. Hey, welcome in. Click this link. Get the training, so you know what to expect. And then 3 days later, they get a, or no, excuse me, the next day they get a text. Hey, what's up, Rick? You know, we're setting up all your ads today, and this is automated. The next day they get another one. Hey, we're setting up your CRM today. The third day, leading up to the kickoff. Hey, we're setting up your campaigns today. Super excited to see you tomorrow. Just again, touching base with them. The first thing that they're gonna do when they pay is expect results. So if you can't get results within 2 days,
Right.
make sure that they know you're doing work. Like, hey, I'm working on this. Hey, I'm working on this. Super excited for our kickoff call. And then 3 days after, you know, we're running ads for 3 days. Hey, I'm gonna check in with you day 3. And then, hey, it's day 3. You probably have one of these 3 problems. Which is it? And then coach them through that. And then day 6. Hey, so this week I secret shopped you, and I didn't want to tell you. And here's the call recording. And here's why you suck. Or here's why you're doing great. So I secret shop them also within that first week.
What is that secret? What is secret shopping for those that don't know?
Yeah, so essentially on the kickoff call, I tell them, hey, within these first 6 days, I'm going to secret shop you, which is I'm going to call your office, I'm going to act like a customer, and I'm going to see if you can close me or how well you have that ability in your sales process.
Right.
So I secret shop them, and then I show them the call so they can get, you know, feedback on their own calls.
And I think it's so important that, like you talked about, client retention and having that, building that client relationship, keeping them updated, because you're not always going to be able to get awesome results. Yes, it's ideal. You need to be able to fulfill and get great results for your clients. That's what's ultimately going to keep them paying you and happy at the end of the day. But it doesn't go like that every single time. And you might be crushing that niche, but when you sign a new client, for whatever reason, it might be their sales process, it might be the area that they're in, and you're just not crushing it as far as like results. But if you keep that communication with your client, and it could be automated, as Dan was talking about, you can automate that, but keeping them updated with just by communication and building that relationship with your client, they will be understanding most of the time, and they will still be a client of yours, even though you're not getting the best results. So for example, for me, I don't always crush it with getting results from my clients. But because I keep a tight communication, I'm checking in with them. Hey, how are results? How is lead quality? How are things looking like on your end? And getting feedback from them, they know that at least you care and that you're trying to get them results, right? So I think that is so important, because a lot of agency owners think like, oh, I gotta get the best results, gotta get the results. But really, yes, the results is important, but I would say just as important is client relationship. Client relationship, because I've had clients that stayed with me for such a long time, and you know, we don't always have good months, and we might have a couple months where it's just been off for whatever reason. But client communication, letting them know that you care, and that you are giving them, you know, letting them know what you're doing on your end to actually get them results, then that's how I've been able to retain most of my clients. So Dan, like, any last, well, first of all, where can they find you? Like, where do they learn more about you? I know you got your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so YouTube, Daniel Beltran, or Dan the Marketing Man, or on Instagram at Dan the MKT Man. Link on the screen.
Dan, to me, if you guys want to learn cold calling, like, Dan's the go-to guy for that. He's got a lot of, now it's past cold calling. He's got a lot of automated systems. He's got a lot of outbound systems. I'm actually here to actually learn from Dan and learn more about outbound systems. But any like last words for agency owners, SMA space that are watching this video?
Yeah, so my final words on that is most of the people watching this might be new. So in that case, like, the reason why you're not getting results most of the time is your distractions. Like, and not to get too into this because I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but like, dopamine is pretty much what runs your entire system, right? So if you're wasting dopamine on like video games, smoking weed, really good food, all that stuff, like, your brain naturally is going to want to just gravitate to that thing. So the more distractions you can cut out, the more your brain only has to focus and put dopamine and effort into the thing that you truly want, right? Because you guys say you want SMMA, you guys say you want to get rich, but you have too many distractions. You're putting way too much dopamine into things that you don't actually care about. So if you want to get fast results, cut out distractions and cold call. and you're gonna hate it at first, but your brain has to get used to building dopamine by doing cold calls, and that's the only way you can do it. So if you're stuck, that's probably your biggest issue right now.
And for me, it was like I didn't leave my house for 3 months, like for 3 months straight. And it was like around my birthday too. I stayed inside of my house and I just tried to grow my agency. I didn't do anything. I didn't talk to my friends. The only thing that I did was go to the gym in the morning. As soon as I got back, and actually a lot of days I even skipped the gym. I didn't even go to the gym in the morning, but I would just work in my agency all day till about like 10 p.m. And I would go do a 4-mile walk around a park just to get some fresh air. And I would do that over and over for 3 months. So what was it? What was something that you did, Dan, to like cut out some distractions? Was it like not going out, talking to friends, and how were you able to focus on just the agency stuff?
Well, for me, it was a little bit different because I had an eviction notice taped to my door.
Right.
I had no choice. My back was against the wall. I had to cut out distractions. So for you guys, it's probably a little bit harder to do that. You don't have like, people about to evict you. But for me, that's really what it was at the time. I went from 0 to 10K, almost getting evicted 2 months in a row. I was almost homeless.
That's crazy, man. Well, guys, there you have it, man. Dan the man, thanks for hopping on my channel once again, bro. It's finally good to meet you and be here in a different country, which is just crazy. And if you guys like Dan, man, put a comment section. Dan the man, Dan man. If you guys like, I always call you like Dan the marketing man. You know that every time I go, Dan the marketing man. If you guys like Dan's story, put a comment in the comment section below. I'll have him back on more interviews, and maybe next time we can dive in deeper into his systems and things like that. I know we're doing masterminds here, and so Dan will probably be releasing some of that. So definitely check out his channel. But yeah, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, drop a thumbs up, subscribe, and check out Dan the Marketing Man, guys. Peace.
Thank you, guys.